The 5.3 livestream just wrapped up, and the new characters have been revealed, and the rerun characters have been announced. So in this video, we're going to be talking about which characters are worth it for you. We're going to do tier lists on all of their best team synergies to find out if the units that they need match up with the units that you have or that you plan on getting. And we're going to be talking about if these weapon banners might be worth it. Let's get started. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. The team's tier list I mentioned will be down below in the description on Tactor, so if you want to have a nice screenshot reference for yourself, you can find it down there. And while you're there, you can comment and enter to win one of these characters for free. We just gave away Nahida to one lucky Tactor winner, so just follow the rules down there. It's completely free to enter, and someone will win one of these characters. Good luck! Starting off with Chasa, the Animo Bow character. Should you get Chasa? I think this is the one character we're not going to do a teammates tier list for because we simply don't know enough, and she honestly, frankly, has a very unique mechanic where she infuses her gun with elemental bullets, and there seems to be an RNG factor, and we're also getting a buff to different reactions next patch. So all these things are kind of up in the air. It's very hard to say exactly how good Chasa will be. Should you get her? If you want a DPS that is Chasa, you should get Chasa. It seems like she'll be more comfy to use than other charge shot bow characters due to more interruption resistance. It seems like she'll have much more interesting things going on for her, but it might not translate into as many unique team comps as you might think. We'll talk about it in the pre-release, but I still think she's going to be extremely fun and very strong. Keep in mind, she won't be using characters like Faruzan. She won't be using characters like Shalonin, Nahida, Kazuha. So already most of the strong buffers in the game are out of the question. So my question is, are they going to release her strong enough that she doesn't need any buffers like that? Or are they going to release future buffers that just aren't out yet? And so is she going to be weaker on release or stronger on release? I don't know. No one knows until we test her out ourselves. So make sure to subscribe for that. I know it's probably an unrealistic expectation, but if we hit 100,000 subscribers before the Archon releases, I'll give away 3 additional Moika. It's not going to happen, so don't worry about it, but that's going to be 4 Moika we give away total. 1 for the Tactor, 1 for the rest. But we're going to test a lot of teams with Chasa, so even if you don't care about the giveaway, there's good reasons to subscribe. Lyney. Lyney is a charge shot bow character that I am personally not a fan of, but I have gotten some amazing clears with him, some of my fastest clears ever on certain abysses. His DPS rivals that of pretty much any character in the game if you play him right and if you get good artifacts and you use the right teams, etc., etc. Lyney is ridiculously strong, and he has a ton of skill ceiling. I think especially if you're playing on keyboard and mouse. If you're playing on mobile, might be a bit more difficult. If you're playing on controller, might be a bit more difficult. He's definitely not for the faint of heart. I would just use him a ton in the trial, and if you really like him, if you like his playstyle, awesome. You definitely won't be wanting for DPS if you learn him properly, but all his best teams, you know, they don't really use a shielder, right? So they're not super comfortable. It's not that he doesn't have a good enough DPS to run shielders on his teams. He also has very good early vertical investment with his bow, his C1, his C2. Very powerful early constellations. All right, so most of the characters you're not going to be using with Lyney, but Shengling you can use with Lyney very well. Mono Pyro. You can use Fischl with Chevreuse stuff. Bennett is his best teammate. You're pretty much always going to be running him with Bennett. Sucrose, pretty good character with him. I'm going to order these a bit later on. I don't think you run Jean. You already run Bennett as a healer. Don't think you run Mona. I don't think if you have constellations on Klee, maybe that's something you consider, but generally no. Zhongli, very strong pick. Albedo, okay. Not really going to do Melt. Can you do a Yanfei shield? I think you can. Kazuha is an excellent partner. Toma, unfortunately, doesn't work because his shield gets refreshed from normal attacks, and he buffs normal attacks, so you really don't want to be normal attacking with Lyney. Yelan, same thing. Works with normal attacks. You're not going to normal attack with Lyney. Kuki, could use Kuki as a healer on Chevreuse teams, I suppose, but you've already got Bennett, so pretty much no. Candace also wants to go with normal attacks. Could you do Layla, melt stuff with a shield? I don't think that's very consistent, but I mean, she does have a shield, so at least there's something. Nahida for burn. If the elemental reactions, you can some sort of reaction soup. Could work. Day is definitely one of the better synergies. I don't know if I want to put her in A or B. I think maybe A. Just because the more pyro characters Lyney has on his team, the more he gets buffed. And so Dea over Zhongli being a pyro character is actually kind of useful. Plus, if you do have like Xilonen on the team anyways, then Dea can hold the Archaic Petra artifact set while Xilonen holds the scroll. So there's something you can do with that. Kirara, she does have a shield, but I don't think it's a good idea. Lynette, Lynette's pretty all right. She can do VV and she can have a taunt, so it has like some synergy. I wish they had better synergy. I wish they worked really, really well together, but they work all right. The taunt is like a pseudo, with double taunt, it's like a pseudo shield because the enemies aren't attacking you as much. Obviously Lyney, great character with Lyney. Charlotte, Farina. Now Farina is I don't know where I want to put her. I mean, she's definitely S for power. Basically Farina is going to be doing the vaping on this team, and the power is just crazy. You play Bennett, Xiangling, Farina, or Bennett Kazuha Farina, or probably even Bennett Xilonen Farina now. This is something I haven't tested all that much because I feel like Lyney really is a mains character. I may go, for my Lyney guide, I may do a collab. I may find someone who's a Lyney main and get them to collab with me. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just buckle down and really play a lot of Lyney. One of those things is going to happen. I'm going to make a good Lyney guide. I'm just not exactly sure how I'm going to do it yet. Navia Chevreuse is a great character with Lyney. Lyney Chevreuse, I don't know if I want to do S or A. I think I'm going to go A because Fischl is kind of the only off-field Electro we really have right now. And you want coordinated normal attacks to proc. You don't need it. Right, you don't need it, but like ideally the more attacks you have, the more additional damage Fischl will do, so it's not like a perfect synergy. And also, like, you don't really have room for both Bennett and for Dea on the team, so you're either going to lose out on a lot of damage or you're going to lose out on interruption resistance. So I don't think Chevreuse is ideal for Lyney, but it is still very strong. You cannot do plunge Lyney. Both characters cannot be infused. Chiori, I would say surprisingly solid. I'm gonna put her here because she is one of my favorite shielded teams with Lyney. You run Chiori, Zhongli, Arlecchino, Sethos. Emily is an amazing partner with Lyney. Loves the burning. It lets you rid yourself of Xiangling and energy problems. Unfortunately, I don't know if I do S because he does want that passive, but she does do so much damage. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm gonna put her here since these are like, yeah. Kachina is all right always because she does some damage and has the scroll set fully effective. Xilonen, of course, works perfectly, especially since you don't always need the grouping for Kazuha. And if you don't need the grouping, then Xilonen is the absolute bomb. And then Aurora and Chaska don't have synergy. So I'm pretty happy with this list. Maybe you could argue placements, like maybe you think some of these characters belong in S or B, or some of the B belong in A or whatever. If people in the comments really disagree and they make some good points, I'll either pin the comment or I'll update the list on Tactor. So if you want to see the updated list, just head over to Tactor, and if it changes drastically at all, I'll update it on there. So, but this is what you kind of, the reason why I do these teammate tier list is because I want you to start thinking about, I don't know if Nahida really belongs there. I don't know. I want you to start thinking about, if you're getting Lyney, what characters are you sort of aiming for, right? You want either Xilonen or Kazuha, in my opinion. You're definitely going to have to use Bennett. You can use Farina. I guess maybe, I don't know, for whether you put Farina in S or A depends on whether you value peak potential or comfort. Same with Zhongli, honestly, and Dea too. Like, if you really value interruption resistance for your Lyney, then Zhongli and Dea and Farina, all three of these are like S with an asterisk, because for totally different reasons. Because Farina gives you negative comfort because she hurts you and makes you even squishier. However, Zhongli and Dea give you less damage, but they make you unkillable. So it's just, what do you value, right? If you have R1 on your Emily, she's sort of really strong, so maybe she goes up here. If not, and maybe you're running Mono Pyro, then maybe Xiangling. It's like, all of it is so... Maybe what I'll do is this, S with an asterisk. I think that is the play. Yeah, these characters are just universally unbelievable with him. These characters are debatably unbelievable with him, and then these characters are very, very solid with him. That's how I think that we're gonna do this. Let me know if you disagree. All right, for Zhongli, supports go a little bit differently because it's who, if you main blank DPS, then you should get this support. So the question is, what mains should consider getting Zhongli? Obviously, if you like Zhongli, this is I do want to always say, or at least sometimes say, this is a gacha game. You have to go with your favorite character. If you love a character like Zhongli, which I know a lot of people do, you got to get him, man. He is awesome. You will find a use for him. Anyone who likes to play comfortably, people on mobile who are more casual, you absolutely should strongly consider getting yourself a Zhongli. He is an absolutely spectacular character. No one does what he does with his shield. So if you're not a min-maxer, you like to be comfy, Zhongli is highly worth considering. And that's kind of what you want to keep in your mind. How much of a min-maxer am I? Which is generally you'll use Zhongli less. And how much of a comfort enjoyer am I? In which case that'll skew your value more. So you want to look at the tier list and say, okay, if I value comfort and I have some characters in S or A, then I should really consider Zhongli. I'm gonna have one tier that's SS, I think, probably. And I don't know if anyone will actually end up, I don't know if anyone will actually end up in this list, but I don't want to forget about it. Because Neuvillette used to be on in this top until Xiaolonen came out. So anyways, Klee, good for comfort, but you lose a bit of damage. Great comfort, don't lose much damage. Lose a bit more damage, lose significant damage, and no. I think something like this. The reason why I'm putting Klee here is especially because she's really great in AoE, and then you really want Kazuha, and you generally can't fit Zhongli onto a Klee Kazuha team. Albedo Zhongli used to be a core, now it's Albedo Chiori. It's a solid core, but it's not, the Albedo version especially is not good enough these days. Ganyu, whew. I'm gonna say lose a bit more damage. Ganyu Melt is very niche these days. I actually really like, if you play Ganyu, I really like Bennett Xiangling Farina. Give that a try. Yeah, you might not get a ton of charge shots out, but if you get some, you do amazing damage, and your burst does a ton of damage, and it's just much. Even though you lose, you're gonna get knocked around, like just guaranteed you're gonna get knocked around. Even with that, you don't have to worry about getting every single charge shot off and every single charge shot melted to do damage. So I'm going to put Ganyu a bit lower than she probably would have been in the past. The reason, and the other reason why is I just don't want to see people, because of my video, pulling Zhongli for a Ganyu Melt team when I don't really recommend Ganyu Melt as a team overall. Yeah. Zhao, great comfort, don't lose much damage. I think this is where I'm going to go. Yeah, do Zhao's best teams not use Zhongli? Yeah. Is it great comfort? Yeah. I think you can get away without Zhongli if you're a Zhao main, right? You don't necessarily need Zhongli to prevent you from being interrupted. Plunge, as long as you get into your plunge, it's pretty hard to be interrupted. So if you get good, you can play around it, but if you're mobile or if you just don't want to learn that type of thing, then Zhongli is a great choice for Zhao. Same thing for Hu Tao. Hu Tao double hydro. Like, you actually do lose a lot of damage, but people still, the reason why I'm going to still put her up here is because people still play the heck out of it, especially if you have C1 Hu Tao. People play the heck out of double hydro with Zhongli. So even though I don't like it nearly as much as the Farina stuff, you can't deny everyone and their mom is playing Hu Tao with their Zhongli. I think I've become maybe potentially a bit disenfranchised after playing Hu Tao for so long that I really don't feel like I need a shielder, but a lot of people do, and a lot of people very consistently, it's Hu Tao's most used team. So you can definitely consider Zhongli for your Hu Tao. Rosaria, Yanfei, Eula. I think that Eula is not a good character right now. I think she has potential for the future. Video coming on that sometime soon. And people used to play Zhongli with her. I haven't seen anyone playing with Eula mostly, but the videos I have saw, they're not usually using Zhongli. It is great comfort though, so and a lot of people don't have C5 Bennett. They do have C6 Bennett. I don't know. Ayaka, you lose significant damage. Highly not recommended. Yoimiya, I'm going to put her up here. Yoimiya really wants a shielder. Zhongli is one of the best shielders. The real Chads who want to min-max damage will be playing Farina, Yelan, Xiaolonen probably, and going no shielder, but obviously, yeah, if you want a comfortable clear, I think Zhongli, Yunjin, Yelan is really quite popular, very comfy. You don't want to use him with Raiden. Raiden is a character that already gives yourself infinite interruption resistance, so with Raiden, you really just want to make do with a healer, because that will just net you more damage overall. And you already have the shield effect, so no need. Ito. So obviously he would have been best in slot before, but with Xiaolonen, now Ito's best team is Furina, Yelan, and Xiaolonen. But if you want to play his other team, Zhongli is usually played in the other team. Not always. Some people still did other stuff, but generally you should definitely consider Zhongli if you play Ito. Personally, I wouldn't. Because Ito, Furina, Yelan, Xiaolonen is just stronger and more universal. Personally, I wouldn't get Zhongli just for Ito. I would get Zhongli for Ito if you're a comfy player. Pretty good with Tighnari. Absolutely. It's okay with Sino. Pretty good with Wanderer. I like Zhongli Chiori with Wanderer. Pretty great with Alhaitham. Especially if you're using Alhaitham Spread. I'm not going to put him up here because you don't use Zhongli on Alhaitham Hyperbloom, but if you are playing Alhaitham Spread, then they're very good together. These aren't ordered, by the way. Lyney, we just talked about Lyney. Excellent choice together. Very good together. A lot of people also go Bennett Kazuha Zhongli, Bennett Xiaolonen Zhongli. Yeah. Neuvillette, they were best in slot until Xiaolonen came out. Now, still an amazing choice. Very comfortable choice. But if you're going to wish for someone to give... Here's the thing. If you're going to wish for someone to give your Neuvillette interruption resistance and buffing on that banner, it should be Neuvillette C1. Not Zhongli, right? It just is. He already self-heals. He doesn't need that damage mitigation. He just needs that interruption resistance. So Neuvillette, ladies and gentlemen, like he's up here, the in synergy, but you don't wish. It's almost like he's up here, but he's also here. You don't wish for Zhongli for Neuvillette because it still costs you a character. So you might as well spend that on the constellation. I don't usually recommend constellations, but in this particular scenario, it just makes too much sense. Navia. So it's still great comfort, and you don't lose too much damage, I guess. But just get Xiaolonen, right? You're already getting lots of crystallizes. You're already really hard to interrupt anyways. I don't really see the value of Zhongli for Navia anymore. Xiaolonen just makes that big of a difference. Gaming, I'm actually not super sure on Gaming. I don't think you ever use Zhongli with him. Arlecchino with Zhongli is very popular, and I can see why. It's very comfortable, and Arlecchino's damage is easily good enough to steamroll the 36 star regardless of who you have on your team. And yeah, very, very popular, very, very good synergy. Chlorand, I really like Chlorand with Zhongli. Chlorand, Furina, Nahida, Zhongli, very good. Like it a lot. Mulaney also goes up here. Kinich, you'd prefer not. You'd prefer just Dea or something. And then I'm not sure on the other characters. So this is the thing, right? Is anyone best in slot for damage and comfort with Zhongli? No. Are there a lot of characters that really can enjoy having the interruption resistance? And if you have high investment on your characters and you want an easy clear, is Zhongli a great choice? Absolutely. So I'm not making this to discourage anyone from getting Zhongli. I'm making this to hopefully communicate who should get Zhongli. The min-maxers right now, he's not meta, but the people who don't care about min-maxing, the people who just want a 36 star the Abyss comfortably and easily, well, maybe you should really strongly consider Zhongli if you have good enough builds that you can do that. Also, if you don't care about the Abyss at all and you just don't want to die in your weekly bosses, then Zhongli is an excellent choice. I obviously am going to talk a lot about actual min-maxing and meta because that's where the nuance comes in. But I hope that you can see me find the line and hopefully teach you where the break point is for you so that you can decide whether or not he's worth it. And again, if I make any changes, Tactor will be updated. Finally, Neuvillette. Lisa, pretty solid choice. Shangling, pretty solid choice, especially if you have C1 for vapes. Fischl, pretty okay. Better to use Lisa, actually. Sucrose, pretty solid. There's lots of Animo characters you can use. Jean, same thing. Mona, surprisingly alright. Venti, pretty alright if he's good that Abyss. Childe, you can use him just for the passive. Neuvillette's multipliers are that bonkers strong that you can actually use Childe. If you want to see that, go check out my guide. I tested it. It's actually quite not bad. Zhongli, very, very good for C0 Neuvillette. If you already have Zhongli, don't wish for Zhongli for Neuvillette, but if you already have Zhongli, use him with your Neuvillette. Unless you have Xiaolonen, in which case, you know, do what you will. Albedo, not really recommended. Ganyu, not recommended. These are DPSs. Kazuha, absolutely insane synergy with Neuvillette. So good for buffing, crowd control. You don't want to use Yelan or anything because it's charge attacks, not normal attacks. Kuki, Actually a pretty popular choice for C1 Neuvillette havers, and just a bit of electrocharge and comfort. People, like, she does some alright damage and gets some electrocharge going. Definitely a much worse choice now that Shalonen's out, but if you don't have Shalonen, it's something you can do. Maybe it's like this. Lisa can go on either Amber or Hakushin Ring. Nilou. If you have Nilou, Nilou's a pretty solid choice with Neuvillette. It's not a best in slot Neuvillette team or a best in slot Nilou team, but both of them are insanely good AoE characters, and both of them still work together, even if they're not perfectly complementary. Layla, pretty solid shielder. I think we need one more tier. Nahida, you can do some burn stuff, right? Oh, Hyper Bloom. Maybe these do belong in the same tier. Maybe it's like this. But yeah, Nahida, Hyper Bloom with Neuvillette, similar to the Nilou thing. I'd say it's a little better because, well, is it better or is it the same? Yeah, I think it's like the same. Really, it like, yeah, I mean, Hyper Bloom is great, Neuvillette's great. It's like the same sort of argument, right? Dea is unironically a great choice. Interruption resistance, maybe the occasional vape. You can do, oh yeah, right. There's burn as well, burn Nahida, and so that can give you more vape. So that can be pretty solid. People love Baiju with Neuvillette. I'm not sure if I want to put him in S or A now that Shalonen is out. He is so popular with Neuvillette. It's crazy. Everyone loves Baiju with Neuvillette. The refreshing shield is just so nice and useful. Kirara also gives a nice shield, activates the passive. Lynette, pretty solid choice, gives you some the taunt thing, pseudo crowd control, pseudo shielding. Neuvillette C1, obviously great with Neuvillette. No. But his C1 is a great choice. It's a really, really good constellation. Charlotte Freeze, quite popular, quite good with Neuvillette. If Freeze is good, then Charlotte's good. Farina, another S tier. I think maybe I'll put Baiju. I think I'm going to put Baiju in A. I'm making kind of a future call with this one. I think over time, Baiju's usage with Neuvillette will go down. He's still amazing, but I think now that Shalonen's out, he's just not an S tier teammate anymore. Navia, some people do the dual DPS thing, so we'll put her on the list. Plunge Neuvillette. It's funny. Chiori does kind of work, I guess, but you lose a lot of synergy. Seijuin, unfortunately, terrible with Neuvillette. Doesn't really add anything of value in any way. I think Emily, it's pretty hard to get any consistent burning going on. It can be good if you can have, well, oh no, but burn is pretty good. I'm not sure. I'm gonna put her here for now. I personally found it wasn't that consistent, but what I'm not sure about is if people have found a way to make it consistent. I haven't seen much on it, but I could be wrong. It could be out there. Kachina, if you watch my Kachina video, it was actually pretty good with Neuvillette. Kind of the same, her with Chiori and stuff like that is pretty alright. These guys are DPSs. And then Shalonen obviously is incredible. This is Neuvillette's premium team. I mean, I think it kind of makes sense for the S tier to be his premium team, and then the A tier is just really strong options. And you can definitely argue a couple of these could be an A or it could be an B, etc., etc. We'll zoom out a little bit just for easy reading. And then Auroron, I do want to put him up here. He's probably going to be really good with Neuvillette, but they're not on the same banner, so that's a shame. So that's what I think about Neuvillette. Should you get him? Well, in my opinion, he's still unquestionably the best DPS in the game. Can Mualani technically be better than him? Yes, she can, but she's very inconsistent. And I think that I value on this channel, when I'm ranking characters, I value consistency pretty heavily, and Neuvillette is just Mr. Consistent, and with Shalonen, he's also Mr. Strong. Yeah, so Mr. Clean, Power Wash Man is the best AoE DPS in the game. Mualani it's a bit of a misconception that he's just better than Mualani AoE. Even in AoE, Mualani can be better. It's just, again, inconsistent because the enemies already have to be close together. Mualani's arguably even better in AoE than she is in single target because she can charge up her Sharky Bites so much faster. But they do already have to be grouped up. If they're not grouped up, then Neuvillette just takes her to the cleaners. Neuvillette's combination of high base multipliers making him work on basically any team, and high base multipliers making him work with the strongest buffers in the game, and having the best AoE in the game, and having some of the best single target damage in the game now that we have Shalonen because he works with those other strong buffers. And not only that, he has incredible free-to-play options and incredible early low spender like constellations and weapons. His weapon is great for him. His C1 is insane. Farina's C1 and C2 are insane. Shalonen's C2 and weapon are very good. Overall, just what a cracked character. And all that on top of being probably the most mobile friendly DPS character. It's crazy. That's crazy. So can, you know, Mulaney, Lyney, Arlecchino technically sheet higher DPS, especially Mulaney in my opinion? Technically, yes. Practically for most people, it's just not going to happen. So should you get him? I wouldn't pull him if you don't like him. A lot of people don't like his playstyle, find it boring, or maybe they don't like his design, or maybe you're just a waifu enjoyer. Is he really strong? Yes. Do you have to get him? Absolutely not. There's a lot, I think, just because he's the best DPS, the other DPSs are closer than you think if you're willing to min-max them. There's a lot of room in this game to get better with a character and have them do better than you kind of think they're going to. Like the difference between, you know, Navia and Neuvillette is not as big as you probably think, as Clorand and Neuvillette, not as big as you probably think. You can get some pretty awesome clears with anyone, so I really don't want to see anyone getting Neuvillette for meta reasons. I want to see you getting Neuvillette because you like his design, his character, his playstyle, and now you know what characters to aim for, to have synergies with, etc. I know this video has gone long, but I do want to talk a little bit about the weapon banners just to keep in mind. We'll obviously review the banners themselves, but Chasa and Lyney, that's going to be a good weapon banner probably, because Chasa is a charge shot bow user, Lyney is a charge shot bow user. Both bows are probably good for both characters, so if you get either one, you're probably winning for both characters. That's my assumption. We'll see for sure when the banners get revealed and we can look at the bows in detail, but that's my assumption for now. This weapon banner, it's time for Genshin to just bite the bullet and buff old weapons. Just buff Zhongli's weapon because it sucks. It's terrible on Zhongli. And Neuvillette Wanders, he's got a great battle pass option. So instead of wishing on this weapon banner, get the battle pass and get it and refine it a couple times if you find value in the battle pass. If not, you know, one copy is good. Or just wait until the next banner. Focus on his Constellation 1 for now. And wait, because this is just not worth, truly, even with the fate point system, it's not worth losing to the Vortex Vanquisher. It's good on nobody. So that's my thoughts on the weapons. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know who you're going to go for. Take care. Bye for now.